Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Distilled, Brewed, and Reviewed. My name is John. We're in the world-famous Sipping Den. And down here, you know, I review everything that has anything to do with alcohol and coffee. It's a great channel if you think about it. I have a hell of a lot of fun doing it. I should talk about my playlist real quick because I have the best one on YouTube. I have to. I review so many different categories that I broke them down into categories and subcategories. You go on my playlist, read those names of those playlists, you just pop on it, and there's all the reviews that pertain to the title of that playlist. It's easy, it's beautiful, it's a wonderful place to be. Every video I do, you know, has a link to the playlist that pertains to what I'm reviewing. In this case, it's something a little different. What is it? Well, let me show you the label, and then I'll read it to you. That's one side of it. And then look at that. Nice. Look at that. And here's the top. It's got some plastic. It's got one of these. We'll get into it. What's it say? Sig Luscher Collection. Queen's Curiosity MEAD-STYLE Braggot. Let's stop there. What is a braggot? A braggot is kind of a mixture of beer and mead, which is honey wine. But it's not just like you took beer and mead and mixed them together in a glass that were finished. That wouldn't quite marry like this does. There's no particular rules for this style. It's kind of loose. Generally, it is malted grain, like malted barley that you make beer with, water and yeast, and then somewhere during the fermentation process, maybe the boil, but it's not as wise to do it. We'll say during the fermentation process, you add some percentage of honey. That a lot of times might, depending on how you do all this, really raise the alcohol content because you've added the sugar for the yeast heat now, right? It can really go up. It makes it sweeter. Sometimes they will put herbs, spices to bitter it and offset the honey. Sometimes they will use hops. It's an old method. It's an old style, but it's got some variations. So that's what braggot is. Let's see here. Now, here's where it gets good, okay? This is in Frankfort, Kentucky. Frankfort, Kentucky, there's another thing in Frankfort, Kentucky. A lot of things. It's the state capital of Kentucky. Buffalo Trace is in Frankfort, Kentucky. Let's see where this is, what's going on here. Aged in Buffalo Trace barrels. Oh, see. This honey beer is brewed once a year with malted barley, okay? Hops, so they do use hops. And local Franklin County, which is where Frankfort is in Franklin County, Kentucky, honey. I love that. Local brewery, local honey, local distillery. Notes of dark, well, we'll get it. Well, dark molasses, smoky char, and sweet honeycomb. It is on 221 Mero, M-E-R-O Street, Frankfort, Kentucky. 750 milliliters, so it's like a bottle of wine. Size-wise. And then on this side it says Sig Luscher Brewery since 1866, Frankfort, Kentucky. So the owner here is Tim Luscher. Sig Luscher was his great-great-great-grandfather. He started the brewery in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It burned down. They moved to Frankfort, Kentucky, across the street from the spot where they are now. The state bought that spot, put up transportation cabinet. They moved across the street. That's where they are now. They're the 9th oldest brewery in the country, but not continuous brewery. There were breaks within. Still same family owns it, but they had breaks. Like Yuengling is the oldest continuous brewery in the country. This is not continuous. Let's see. I'm going to look at my notes and see if there's anything else I just didn't mention. Oh, I know. So here's how I found it. It's great. I'm over there getting my brand new driver's license, you know, the new one that you can fly and all this with. Excuse me. I had to go to Frankfort to get it. Live in Louisville. So I'm in Frankfort. I'm like, well, while I'm here, because I don't go to Frankfort a lot, I'm going to look for a brewery. Because I either look for breweries or coffee houses wherever I go. And I thought, let me look for a brewery. And I come out of the parking lot, the place where I got my license. And as I think that, I look to my left, and I'll be damned if this place ain't right there. It's right there. So I saw it. Let me go in. I go in. It's a cool-looking place. They got a nice porch out front. They got a beer garden in the back. They have music on Fridays, maybe Saturdays. They have a beer truck come during the weekend, but they have food. One of the foods they have is like hot dogs with 30 ingredients, and they're steamed in beer. And most of the food they make has some kind of beer additive. So it's just a cool little place. But I'm going to tell you something else about it. Now, I see here, and I bought this and didn't really pay much attention to it, but I see here that it's Buffalo Trace barrels. And Buffalo Trace is in Frankfort, where they're located. But when I was there, I did notice they had all the Buffalo Trace products behind the bar, even though it's a brewery. And the pours were dirt cheap. They were dirt cheap. So I said, wow, you know, I'm used to like, Louisville, downtown, tourists, very expensive. And I said, they said, well, it's right here. And anyway, if you are ever in Kentucky around Louisville or Lexington, because Frankfort's between both of them, and you want to try Buffalo Trace, you can't find, I don't mean just Buffalo Trace, I mean MEAD-STYLE, everything they make. This is the place to go. It's worth the trip because you could really try everything they have there for nothing. It's very, very inexpensive. So if you're really buying a bottle and you just want to try it, you don't want to collect it, you don't want to flip, whatever. You want to see what it's all about. And if anybody else has it cheap like this and you want to get in contact with me, that's fine. I'll tell people. But as far as I know, this is the cheapest I've ever seen it. I love that it's aged in Buffalo Trace barrels for a year. No, once a year. All right, once a year. Oh my gosh. It says on here, barrel aged 3 years. So this is put in a Buffalo Trace barrel for 3 years. Wow. All right. Let me see here. Oh boy. Oh my. Okay, so a normal wine, what I call normal, is about red wine, Cabernet, is about 13.5% alcohol. A lot of the whites are a little less, maybe 11, right? Now we're at 13.5. If you get a big one, it'd be like a Zinfandel, might be 15% alcohol, okay? That's a bottle of wine. Big one would be about 15%. This bad boy, which is the exact amount as a bottle of wine, is 18.4% alcohol. That's huge. That's huge. All right, so it's a beautiful bottle. I wish I could. I'm not going to save it. I don't have room for anything down here. I wish I knew somebody who brewed beer. They would love to have this bottle, but I really don't. I don't think. I'd hate to waste it. But anyway, neither here nor there. Let's get through the plastic. We're going to open it up. It's obviously carbonated. You could do either style with a Braggot. All right, I'm just going to stab it with a pen and try and get through it. It tells you the date on it, too. There's a date on here, 8/24/22. I've had this a while in the refrigerator from when I got my license. But it's been aged for 3 years in a barrel. I'm really excited to try this. I really am excited. All right, let's see. Hopefully I'll do this. Let me see if there's any yeast. Can't see. It's a very dark brown bottle, as it should be. Here we go. Yee boy. I don't know if I shook it up or not by accident. I didn't do it. All right, no problem. All right. It's like the old Grolsch tops. So there it is. I just undid it, pulled it back, broke the seal. I elected to use a wine glass. I have a beer glass that this would go. I don't feel like digging it. I don't know where it is. All right, so here's the color. I'm new to this. I've never had it. I saw it in their place. I thought, man, I'm going to try it. This is, I did have a couple beers while I was there. They're very good. I just bought this one to go. Didn't do any research on it, nothing. And then since then I did, I should say. So Tim Luscher is the current owner. They moved to Kentucky from Memphis in, I think, 1866. 65, 66. I think I don't want to bore you, but it's some interesting stuff here. All right, that's it. They got a Facebook page. Go on there and check them out on Facebook. Here's the color. So it's a mixture of mead beer. Should be a little heavier on the mead side. It's more of a mead style. But they have the Buffalo Trace 3 years in a barrel, which surprised me. It's that light. And hops. It's gonna be crazy. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. All right. What am I getting? I'm getting the hops. Now it's obvious there's hops. And it is a mixture of a beer wine type smell. It's got darker fruits though, more stewed fruit smell coming out of there. Honey, you can smell that honey in there. That's interesting. Nice local. Oh. Honey hops, beer wine, stewed fruit. Oh man, there's something. Come on, brain, figure that out. I don't know, maybe on the taste. Let's get into it. I'm gonna do an acclimation sip, and then we'll go in for it. That's the barrel I'm smelling now. That's what that is. The influence of the. I wasn't even thinking mead and beer, and it's in that barrel for 3 years. And that's the influence coming through. That's big on the smell too. Now, I knew I recognized. I just couldn't put it together. As soon as I tasted it, though, let's go in now and really just think about this taste. Good. It's sweet, but it's not killer sweet. The bitterness from the hops is not overbearing. It's a nice balance, actually. And you get the sweet up front and to the middle, and then the back you get the bittering. But nothing strong. The sweet's not strong. The bittering's not strong. Barrel, vanilla, a tint of that bourbon, the influence from it. Very interesting. Very good. Nothing overwhelming. It's married nice. And as far as the alcohol goes, I told you what it was. It's huge. I guess if you concentrate on it, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. It's there. It's pretty heavy. But without thinking about it, that sweetness kind of mellows it down. I like the sweetness up front, not very sweet, but the kiss of it, and the bitterness on the back. So you need that balance. Very good. I forget how much it was. I think $20-something. If it was $20-something, that's not. Think about this: $20-something for something they tied up for 3 years in a Buffalo Trace barrel. I know that barrel wasn't free, and are putting it out at 18.4% alcohol by volume, and used honey. Honey's expensive, and they used local honey. When I think about this compared to, I'm not slamming them, but compared to the Goose Island little bottles, maybe a pint for $30, $35. And one of them's finished in Angel's Envy, so what? This is Buffalo Trace for 3 years. Well, I told you. I told you their shots are priced to sell. Their beer is priced to sell. It's great quality. The beers I was having when I was there are really good. I didn't eat that day, but you know what? Honestly, it's not an easy trip for me. But I go to Lexington a lot. I think next time I go on a weekend, I'm going to pop in there. And I'm going to, when they have music on a Friday, maybe Saturday, I'll call and see if they have some music out back in the beer garden. And I would love to listen to some live music, eat a couple of them dogs, maybe see what kind of trucks they have, and have a few beers. I think that's something I'm really going to do because this place was really good, and I found it by accident. If you get a chance, man, Sig Luscher Brewery, Frankfort, Kentucky. If you're in the area, man, it's worth it. And if you're in Lexington or Louisville, you might be going back and forth doing the bourbon tour or something like that. You get to where you want a nice beer, and you're in Frankfort, you're going to be there anyway, probably at Buffalo Trace, then I would definitely, cleanse my palate. Last one of the day, I've been drinking a little bit of bourbon all day. Maybe I have a designated driver. This is the place to go get the beer, to relax, to listen to the music, to have a couple dogs with 30. It's a good ending to a day, I'm telling you. It's a good ending. And if you didn't get to try anything Buffalo Trace-wise, you could pass it off here. That's all I got to say about it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.